by focusing on that and by striving towards that, you can tap into the miraculous. That's transcending nature. It's going beyond what you think is possible. You're not breaking the vessel, but you're stretching the vessel. So the topic for today is spiritual acceleration. We want to talk about what it means that by connecting to Hashem, by connecting to God, by connecting to our mission in life, we can speed up the way things happen in the world. Things take their time. Sometimes they're slower than we would want them to be. But if we are able to tune in to the right wavelength, then we are able to achieve a kind of velocity, we can say, a spiritual velocity, which is faster than the way things usually happen. It's a matter of connecting to a different kind of vibe and being able to transcend nature, but in a way that doesn't betray nature. So that's what we want to explore today. This class is based on a class that Rav Ginsburg gave a few years ago, which in turn is based on a very important sikha, a Hasidic talk from the Lubavitcher Rebbe that's coming from the final year in which the Lubavitcher Rebbe gave talks. This is called the Dvar Malchus year. That's in many ways the Rebbe's swan song. In the final year of his speaking life, there was a certain time that he didn't speak, but in the final year in which he spoke, he gave very, very important, very life-changing talks. They're all life-changing, but those talks of that year were even more, we can call them redemption-oriented. Each one of them is like a bombshell in a way, in terms of, it's a culmination of things that he had been talking about for decades, and that he put together and formulated and added a dimension to them that was just beautiful and inspiring. And in many ways, that's his legacy to us, or his like final will and testament. Again, it's a culmination of everything that he worked on throughout his life, and it always adds another dimension that's more redemption oriented. So this sikha that we're talking about is for this week's parashat, the parashat of Korach. And many years later, Rav Ginsburg taught that and added some things of his own, and we're going to go over that and explain it, and hopefully it'll make it relevant for us right now. So let's start by just recapping what's going on in the parasha Korach. So Korach is named after a person, of course. Although he's not a good person, he's a wicked person, but he had a parasha named after him. That means that he must have something going for him and he can be rectified. So Korach was a Levite, and he was a relative of Moshe and Aharon. And he was very bitter that he was not part of the leadership, that he was not a Kohen himself. He was just a Levite and not a Kohen. And then he started a mutiny, a rebellion. And he gathered some people from other tribes, and he started an uprising against Moshe and Aharon, basically questioning whether they should be the ones in charge. Mostly it revolved around Aharon. Why should Aharon be the priest? He basically accused Moshe of nepotism. He said that you chose him because he's your brother, and we are all equal in the eyes of God. We all heard the voice of God on Mount Sinai, and why should you be above everyone else? And again, it was mostly focused on Aaron because he coveted the role of being the priest himself. The result was, of course, the terrible punishment in which the ground opened up its mouth, and Korach and his group of followers, they were all swallowed up. But what happened, one of the things that happened as a result of this, was that God had to sort of reprove to everyone, or demonstrate to the entire people, that it is no coincidence, and it wasn't the choice of Moshe, it wasn't nepotism or any other sort of human deliberation. It was his own choice, God's choice, that the tribe of Levi is the tribe that is centered around the work, the holy work of the tabernacle and the tent of meetings. And in particular, it is Aharon and his family that are supposed to be the priests. This needed to be demonstrated in a way that was unequivocal and would once again reinforce this whole hierarchy of what we call Kohen Levi Israel, right? We're all Israelites, we're all part of the Israeli people, but there's a tribe of Levites that are distinguished. They have a special role that's centered around the holy work of the tabernacle and later on the temple. And within that, the final third level is the level of the Kohen, the priest. So this need to be reinforced. So what did he do? He told Moses, to take from all the chiefs or princes of the tribes, each one of them had to bring his staff. So they took the 12 staffs, and each one had to inscribe his name, the name of his tribe, on that staff. And then God said, all the staffs, all the 12 staffs should be placed within the tent of meetings, and they should wait overnight. And when the next day, they should come in and find the staffs. And the one staff that would miraculously bring out flowers by the morning, which is of course impossible, it's miraculous, that staff is the tribe that needs to be, that needs to work, to do the holy work of the tabernacle. That's the chosen tribe for this thing. And of course, what happened in the morning was that it was the staff of Levi, which was the staff of Aaron. So it both demonstrated the chosenness of Levi and Aaron, because it was Aaron's staff, and he represented Levi, so he was both generally the staff of the tribe of Levi, and also his own position, his own personal staff, to show that he was the priest. And then they came in the morning, and then the verse goes like this: and behold, Aaron's staff for the house of Levi had blossomed. It gave forth blossoms, sprouted buds, and produced ripe almonds. Right? 3 stages that are supposed to take place over time. They're supposed to take a long time. Well, they're not supposed to happen on a branch, on a staff that's been cut off from the tree. Right? They happen on a regular tree, and they happen on the regular tree, and it's a gradual process. But here, it happened overnight, but all stages came about, right? It gave forth blossoms, it sprouted buds, and it produced almonds. In Hebrew, this goes, Vayotze ferach, vayatzet tzitz, vayigmol shkedim. Right? It's 2 words for each stage. There's a verb and a noun, and it goes together. First there's the flower, then there's the bud, and then finally there's the almond. So the Rebbe asks about this. If this is a miracle, a supernatural event, why did it have to go through all 3 stages? What happened was that this was like a sped up process. This was like an accelerated process. It's almost like those movies you see in nature films of a time-lapse animation, a time-lapse video, that what you do is you put the camera in front of, often it's plants and flowers, because that's beautiful to see how they grow very quickly. You put the camera, but you film it in a way that you take 1 frame, and then you wait a little bit, you take another frame, that's called time-lapse, and then the final result is that you see it happening very, very quickly, because you speed up the process. The process itself takes its own time, but the way you film it, the way you shoot it, the way you present it, it seems to be happening very, very fast. Here it actually happens fast. It was like watching the movie in real time. They put the staffs at nighttime, and during the night, all 3 stages happen. So the Rebbe is asking, if this is a miracle is something that's above nature, supernatural, why go through the stages? The flower can just materialize on the staff. More than that, the miracle was connected to the staff, because a staff is made of wood. It's basically a branch from a tree, and the fact that it gave forth the flower and then the almond is connected to what it is, to the essence of what it is. It's a branch, it's a tree branch. So there's something very interesting here. The miracle seems to inhabit the natural substratum in a way that's connected to the natural substratum. It's not just like an animal came out of the branch or something completely different came out of the branch. It was what you expect a tree branch to grow. Again, it's miraculous because the branch is disconnected from the root, and it happened overnight. So there was a miraculous element, but it was also a natural element, because it was an actual flower and fruit coming out of a piece of wood, which makes sense. And it went through all the stages, which also makes sense. And the miracle was that it all happened very, very quickly, and it happened from a staff that was now cut off. So the Rebbe asked this question. It's a good question, right? Miracles don't need to take nature into consideration, we would think. Why take nature so much into consideration? The Rebbe connects this to two other things. One, an ancient miracle, and the other, a more recent sort of miracle or a great blessing, which both happened on the day of Gimel Tammuz. Gimel Tammuz, at that time, the Rebbe is here, so he's not talking about the way we mostly think about Gimel Tammuz, which is the time of the passing of the Rebbe. Little did he know, or maybe he did know, we don't know, but at that time nobody thought that that would be the day of the Rebbe's passing. What it was two things. It was the day in which the miracle of the battle of Yoshua in Giv'on, in which he stood there and he sang to the sun and the moon, and he ordered the sun and the moon to stand still. He said, sun, stand still upon Gibeon, and moon in the valley of Ayalon, Shemesh begiv'on dom ve'yarech be'emek Ayalon. And then the day lengthened, because he actually was able to stop the luminaries, the sun and the moon, from moving, and then the day was longer, and he was able to win that battle. The Rebbe is asking, because he's giving this talk in Parashat Korach. Parashat Korach is always the beginning of Tammuz, and Gimel Tammuz is upcoming. For us, Gimel Tammuz is going to be next week, but this is already the week leading up. Right, next Shabbat is going to be Rosh Chodesh Tammuz, the first day of Tammuz. So there's this coincidence, or they come together, a convergence of Parashat Korach and Gimel Tammuz. So he's putting this together, and it's a very similar question. Why bother the sun and the moon and have them stop in their tracks? And if he wants a miracle, you can ask for a miracle. Let's win the battle right now. Why do you need to make the day longer? You can just ask for a miracle right now. You can have it so that you can win the battle in an instant. You don't need to wait until night and then have night be postponed so that you can win the battle. Why incorporate nature so much into the miracle? If you're asking for a miracle, already it's going to be supernatural. Go all the way. Why sort of compromise in a way in the miracle you're asking for? And the final event that the Rebbe is connecting this to is that in the very recent generations is for the previous Rebbe, the sixth Rebbe of Chabad, the Rebbe's father-in-law. For him, he also had a personal miracle. For a Rebbe, it's never personal. It always has to do with all of the Hasidim. But he was imprisoned in Russia, and on Gimel Tammuz, he was let known that he was going to be released. It finally happened only 9-10 days later, and that's another celebratory day in Chabad, the 12th and 13th day of Tammuz. So again, the Rebbe asks, why did it need to be gradual? Why wasn't the full miracle on Gimel Tammuz? Why was it the beginning of a process, and a bit of a nerve-wracking process, in which they had to wait 9 more days, 10 more days, until everything transpired and turned out for the best, and he was released. So again, it's all just bringing together a very basic question, which is a question we can all ask. The question is, how does this connection between nature and miracles work? That's basically the question. Nature is nature. It's physical. It's bound to the laws of nature. And in the laws of nature, everything takes its time. There's a natural process, a natural series of stages you have to go through, and they take time. Everything in this world takes time. I'm writing an email to a friend of mine, and I'm not going to get usually an answer right away. I need to wait. He needs to read it. If it's an important request, or something he has to consider, he has to think about it, he has to maybe sleep on it. And everything we want in the world, it takes time. It's very frustrating, but that's the way it is. That's the way nature is. You want to have a baby, it takes at least 9 months. Or just about that. And then the baby is born. You can't wait to see who they are. It's going to take years. And it's going to take years for them to start walking and talking. Everything takes time. This is nature. Then you have the realm of the miraculous. The realm of the miraculous is above nature. It takes 0 time for a miracle to take place. If we're praying for a miracle, and we're always praying for miracles because we're in such a horrific world. And, you know, we maybe we thought it wasn't so horrific about a year ago, but no, we know how horrific it is. And we know every moment, every day, this war is taking place. It's a slow war. It takes time. And we're all frustrated. How slow the war is. Why does it have to take so much time? Why can't we have some miracles? And we have some miracles. And then things seem to speed up a little bit, but then they slow down again. So the big question is, how do these things connect? How do they come together? We really want to be connected to this level of faith or level of connection to something supernatural, and then in no time for it to happen. And we're praying for that. It says, Yeshuat Hashem keheref ein. In the blink of an eye, everything can change. But it doesn't. It takes time. So here we see this interesting thing that nature and the miraculous are being integrated, and they're coming together into a very particular kind of miracle, which is a miracle of acceleration. And what the Rebbe is saying this is the best miracle. The best miracle is a miracle that doesn't ignore nature. It doesn't betray nature. It doesn't make fun of nature. Nature is real. God created nature, and He created it in such a way that it's solid, and it makes sense, and it's constant, and it's consistent. And that's a blessing. You don't want to push that away. You don't want to throw that away. But you don't want to also let the world be as it is. Also, for all of us, psychologically, spiritually, we don't want to say, well, this is the way the world is. Things take time. And that's the way it is. You have to wait it out, and everything will take its time in due course. And wait, no, we want to rush things towards the miraculous. But the thing is, when they come together, how do they come together? They come together by nature speeding up. Nature is accelerating towards the miraculous. And if you think about it, then also something else is going on at the same time. If we see the staff, Aaron's staff, and it's bringing out the flowers, and then the buds, and then the almonds, all the stages are there, but they just really speed up. Why? Because nature is remembering the miraculous and starts accelerating towards the miraculous. But at the same time, something else is happening. What is the miracle doing? While nature is accelerating, then the miracle, the miraculous, is slowing down. It's slowing down in order to go into nature. Let's imagine that the miracle is a person. The miracle of the bringing out of the fruit from the staff of Aaron. Let's imagine it's like an angel or some entity, some spiritual entity. As far as that entity is concerned, it can happen in one moment, one instant. You don't have to wait overnight, and you don't have to go through the stages. The miracle can just plop down into the world, and the flower and the fruit is the main thing, will be there. And that's it. But God is telling the miracle, this entity is telling him, no, that's not the way I want it. I don't want instant miracles. I want to honor the natural process, but on the other hand, I am willing to let the natural process accelerate and go faster. And you'll meet it halfway. You'll meet in the middle. So you have to slow down. You have to from doing it in zero time, in one instant. It's gonna take you a night. I'm not asking that it would take you days and weeks. That's nature. There's nothing to do with you. But I want you to slow down and accept the fact that you're going to have to work overnight. You have to go to work all night. I know you're used to doing things in one moment, but you have to slow down. And nature, God is telling nature the opposite. Please speed up. I know it usually takes you weeks, but now I want you to speed up. I want you to do it overnight. Instead of over a few weeks, I want you to do it overnight. So they're coming one towards the other. That's a beautiful image to consider, to think upon. That the miracles we want, the miracles we're praying for, and I remind you of Joshua asking the sun and the moon to stand still. He's slowing down the process of nature, which is the slowing down of nature is really the speeding up of nature towards the miraculous, because when nature has to stop, it's not the actual process. It's interesting, by the way, that the Lubavitcher Rebbe doesn't address this, that on the surface it's the opposite, what's going on here, because with the staff of Aaron, then the staff is, nature is accelerating. That's what it appears, because everything is happening faster. And what Joshua asked is for the sky and the sun and the moon to stop, to sort of slow down and stand still. But the similarity is that he's asking nature to stop being nature, not be natural, not go through the natural process. Make room for the miraculous. So they're moving one towards the other. Very beautiful image, right, to consider. Now, interestingly, so just let's see the main point here. The main point is that the miracle we want, the miracle that God favors, is the miracle that takes nature into consideration. It is situated, it's grounded within nature. And you can even see that there's a famous question, why almond? Out of all the fruit, why almond? So the answer is that almond is the fastest to ripen in nature. That's the way it's described. That of all the fruits, the almond is the fastest to ripen. So again, the miraculous is so much taking nature into consideration. It's taking the fruit that's the fastest to ripen. How long does it take almond to ripen? 21 days. So 21 days is now shortened. That's pretty quick compared to other fruit. And if you take those 21 days and you hasten them towards one night, then it's definitely an acceleration. But why choose the fastest ripening fruit? Again, because you don't want to hasten nature too much. If you would take any other fruit and you would ask that fruit to ripen overnight, it would be even crazier. So you take the fastest ripening fruit because, again, you want nature to go one step beyond itself, not 2 or 3 or 10 steps beyond itself. Right? Very, very interesting. You don't take the slow fruit, the slow students, and you ask them to suddenly, rise above themselves and do something impossible. Because if it's impossible, once again, nature is disregarded. Nature is thrown to the side, and it's all miraculous. So you want to take the fastest fruit and make it faster. You want to take each person. It's like that fruit, almond. It's almost like that fruit is already inching towards the miraculous. Anyway, that's the way it is. It's the most miraculous, so to speak, within nature, fruit. And now you just want to accelerate it a little bit more. So this is the image that we have. Now, we can connect this to something beautiful the Baal Shem Tov said. This is an important concept to have in mind, and basically the main concept we want to come out from this class with. The Baal Shem Tov said that for a chassid, there are 3 unwritten commandments that every chassid needs to follow. And these 3 commandments they're unwritten. It's like an oral Torah of Chassidut. But it's like, he said, for a chassid, it should be the oraita. It's like from the Torah, not even from the Rabbanan, not even from the sages. Even although they're not written, you should think about them as if they're written. It should be ABC for you. And it is, in fact, the ABC of Chassidut, and in many ways the ABC of Chabad also, because you can align the 3 things that he said according to wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, Chokhmah Binah Dat, the acronym of which is Chabad, right? So the first thing he said is the first thing for a chassid to be is don't be foolish. You have to be clever. Clever, this worldly clever, he meant. You need to be astute. You need to be sharp. You need to be, no one can take advantage of you. You need to be, because Chassidim often are regarded or thought of as people who are not really in this world. They're outside, they're floating, they're dreaming, they're connected to the Rebbe, they're praying at length, they're doing all kinds of weird stuff. But he says, no, it's not a real chassid. A real chassid is very grounded, very sharp, and understands this world very, very well. So it's the first commandment for a chassid. It has to do with wisdom. And the second is that a chassid is always happy. Right? This is said in the Torah, but it's not a commandment. If you do it Hashem b'simcha, serve Hashem with joy. He says you have to be happy because whatever happens, you can always find something to be optimistic regarding that what is going on. You find that spot, that point, that spark, that you can use it. You can leverage the entire situation and think about it in an optimistic way. And what was the third? This has to do with binah, understanding has to do with joy. What is the third unwritten commandment for the chassid, which has to do with that knowledge? So he called this, in Hebrew, it's zrizut b'metinut. Zrizut b'metinut. In English, this is something like quickness in moderation. Quickness, doing something in a hasty way, in a fast way. You can also maybe use the English word alacrity. You do something quick, fast. You don't think about it too much. You run, you go for it. You're not slow. You're not lazy. You're doing things quickly, but you're doing it bemetinut, in moderation, with waiting, with patience. It's quickness in moderation or quickness with patience together. We can call the quickness is like the lights of tohu here element. It's the chaotic lights that are crazy because you want to do things quicker than they are. But then you put them in vessels of rectification. The vessels of rectification would be the moderation, the slowing down, the patience. And you want to do it together. And you need to, it's like a paradoxical, but it isn't. You need to do things as fast as you can, but as calmly as you can. Right? That's another way to think about it. Be fast, but calm. You have to be calm, and you don't leap over anything you shouldn't leap over, but still you are able to do things much faster than they are. That's exactly what we have here in the image of the staff that's giving forth the flowers and the buds and the almonds. Is that this is zrizut b'metinut. The metinut is the natural element, the fact that nature is going through all the steps, and the zrizut, the quickness, is the fact that it happened overnight. So this image, what we're getting from this is it's just another illustration for how a chassid should strive to be at all time. We want to live the miraculous, to embody the miraculous, but not a miraculous that's disconnected from our body, from our minds, from our hearts, from other people, from the world, from expectations. We want to listen to the world, listen to nature, inhabit this world, be very attuned to all the stages we need to go through in a process, but always try and accelerate them, to do them faster, to do more, to try and that's how we are striving towards the transcendent and the divine. Another beautiful way to think about all this is that it's very much reflected, this whole relationship between the natural and the miraculous is very much reflected in the relationship between men and women. In a way, men and women also have this relationship of one wanting to go slower and one wanting to go faster, especially when we're talking on the more intimate level. That in a way, women are like nature. And you can see this, by the way, how a new life comes into the world. For a man, his contribution to bringing a new baby into the world is instantaneous. It's one moment. For a woman, it's 9 months. And she embodies that relationship. So she is like Mother Nature. She is like nature. And things take time. She knows things take time because in her body, she has the uterus. She has the capability to bear new life. And she knows, in her bones, in her body, in her flesh, that things take time. And that's why the different levels, we can say, of the soul, and the soul and the body, they're more integrated for women. And so women say, okay, I hear what you're saying. And also the feminine within men, of course. It's the feminine within men also. The feminine is saying things need to filter down. And in my head, I can understand something that's quick. My heart takes more time. My body takes even longer to accept what you're saying. So the more you go down into nature, the slower it is. And the more you want to consider the slow natural process of things ripening, of things becoming ready for whatever change is coming. So that's the feminine. But the masculine wants to rush things. It has an idea. It's like the man who wants to bring a baby into the world, and it's like one moment, and then he doesn't understand why he needs to wait 9 months. So the same is for the masculine, has a plan, has a vision, has an idea, has a concept, and then he wants it to happen. And like I said, when we're talking about men and women coming together on a more intimate level, then we see this very much, that for men, the natural pace is usually faster than it is for women. It's a cause of universal frustration and arguments, that things, they're unsynchronized. So what's the solution? So the solution is, just like we said, that the miraculous needs to slow down and the nature has to speed up. So the same goes for the relationship between men and women. Men need to slow down. They need to synchronize themselves with the more circular nature, which is more gradual, which wants more and more levels of the psyche, of the soul, of the heart to be connected, which takes another round and another round. And this more gradual process is more feminine. And for men, it's work. It's the inner work of men to decelerate, to slow down, so that they're connected to the pace of the woman. And that's part of their role as men. That's what they need to do, is to slow down. And the thing is, the beautiful thing is that if the masculine, the miraculous, so to speak, slows down towards the natural feminine, then nature in response, and the woman starts speeding up towards the man, right? Because they want to meet halfway. And it can only take place if one of them moves towards the other. It can also work in the other way around also. That if the woman accelerates maybe a little bit towards the man, it would signal to the man that just like she's coming towards him, he needs to come towards her. Of course, there are some instances, because today we're not living in a stereotypical age, so the archetypal masculine and feminine aren't as smoothly reflected in the actual reality of men and women. So we do have many instances of very feminine men and very masculine women, which is, by the way, not necessarily a bad thing. It's a bad thing when it's not integrated within your physicality, within your biological gender. But if you are able to integrate it, that's just the way it is. There are some men who are like this, some women who are like that, and so on. But the main thing to understand from this is that on a symbolic archetypal level, then the feminine is more connected to nature, and the masculine is more connected to the miraculous. But the thing that we want is not for nature to remain natural without connecting to the transcendent and the masculine, and we don't want the masculine, the miraculous, to remain above nature or to break nature, God forbid. We want them to come together, which means that they're moving one towards the other. Now let's look at something beautiful. So this is the addition of Rabbi Ginsburg already what I said was a combination of the Rebbe and Rav Ginsburg. But Rav Ginsburg, what he does is often he has beautiful new gematrias that he's doing. He's taking the phrases that appear in the Torah, and in this case in the Rebbe's talk, or puts together certain elements, and then he has a phrase, and then the phrase, you do the gematria of the phrase, you get another level of thinking about this whole thing. So in this case, we have two expressions that come out. We started with teva, nature, and nes, right, which is miracle. That's the two Hebrew words. But now we need to add zrizut b'metinut, fastness with patience and moderation. So who needs to speed up? That's nature. So the phrase we have is zeruz hateva, the quickening or the acceleration of nature, right? Zeruz hateva. And it's just unbelievable, just beautiful. What is the gematria of zeruz hateva? Put them together, there's two words. Zeruz hateva, you get 306. And if you have a little bit of experience in gematria, then the first word that comes to mind when you hear 306 is the word isha, woman. So zeruz hateva, it's just so beautiful. Zeruz hateva is woman, is the feminine. But listen, this is beautiful. It turns out it's not that hateva equals the feminine. It's the Jewish feminine, we can say, or the ideal feminine is not just nature. That's the pagan perspective, that this world, nature, it's Mother Nature, and we have to honor and worship Mother Nature. That's not the Jewish way. We're not worshiping Mother Nature. So what is the ideal woman, or the Jewish woman, or the Jewish concept of femininity? According to this gematria, Isha equals zeruz hateva. It's nature accelerated. That's the true perception of the feminine. It's hateva, it's nature. It's totally connected to nature, just like the pagans said. But as opposed to the pagan, and today it's the New Age world, it's nature accelerated. Right? We have the natural world. What is the role of women in many ways? The role of women in the world is to accelerate nature. The role of the feminine within men also, is to accelerate nature. Why is it the role of the feminine? Because the feminine is connected to nature. It's not up to the man to hasten nature. That's coming from the outside. It's foreign to nature. If the masculine, the transcendent, the element that's coming outside of nature is going like this and hastening nature, that's not an authentic hastening. We need nature itself to accelerate in order to approach the miraculous. So this is the first gematria. Now we have another term, word with nes, which is the miraculous. And then there's also mitun hanes. That's the expression we need right now, right? Mitinut is moderation and patience, and mitun hanes is the moderation or the slowing down of the miraculous. So what is that gematria? We would think maybe it would be ish, would be man, right? It isn't man, because that would be too boring and expected, and it doesn't work. Mitun hanes does equal something else that we all know. The number is 611. And again, with just a very little experience in gematria, you would know that 611 is Torah. Torah equals mitun hanes, the slowing down of the miraculous. What is the Torah? The Torah is God's word. God's word is eternal, it's above time. But when the word of God descends into the world and becomes a text that you read over time, that's the slowing down of the miraculous. Right? The Torah, the fact that it's coming into the world, the Torah is miracle decelerated. It's the miracle that is supposed to be running in the speed of light. Speed of light is 0 time to get from one point to another. Because when you accelerate towards the speed of light, then you're above time at the end of it. So when it slows down and it becomes a book that you get over history, over time, and it grows, and you learn it throughout the year, all this is the miracle decelerated. So mitun hanes equals Torah. And just to make this gematria even more beautiful, then look at this, right? The two numbers we have is zeruz teva is 306, and mitun hanes is 611. Are they connected in some way? They are connected. Whenever you have an odd number, right? And mitun hanes, Torah, 611 is an odd number. When you have an odd number, you can't split it in the middle, right? An even number, you can split it. An odd number, it's called the central point. If you would take that number, just place a series of points, the word like 3 is an odd number, so there's 1 and 2 and 3, and the central point, that's 2. It's 2 from both ways. And for 7, the central number is, so for 5, the central point is 3, and for 7, the central point is 4, and every odd number has a central point. So if 611, which is Torah, which is the slowing down of the miraculous, what's its central point? The central point is 306. It's Isha, it's Zeruz Teva. They converge at the very center. There's some very beautiful. So the bigger number is here, the Torah, the mitun hanes. But if it somehow is able to connect to its central point, its heart, the heart of the Torah is 306, which is Isha. So that's beautiful, even without going into Zeruz Teva and mitun hanes, just Isha and Torah. The fact that Isha is the central point of Torah is beautiful as it is. But putting this together with these two terms, the acceleration of nature and the deceleration of the miraculous, it's another beautiful thing. So, what can we learn from all of this in our life? The Rebbe also addresses this. He says, our role in this world is to serve Hashem in such a way that we are able to, just like the staff of Aaron, not to deny nature, not to reject it, not to ignore it, but neither are we supposed to succumb to nature and the natural process of things and the natural pace of things. It's a balance. It's an interesting balance, a game of balance. It's like walking a tightrope. You want to respect the fact that things take time, that people need time to digest, you need time to digest, your spouse needs time to digest. Things take time. We want the hostages back right now. We want whatever it is we're trying to do in our lives, we want it to happen right now. It's not going to happen. You have to honor that and listen to reality and understand that all the stages, all the different stages, the flower, the coming out of the flower and the coming out of the bud and then the coming out of the fruit, all the stages are precious. We have to go through all the stages, but it doesn't mean they have to happen in the natural pace. You can hasten them. You can, and the point of all of this is we need to produce fruit. That's our role in life, is be fruitful and multiply. And the main fruit, there's the fruit, there's the material fruit, that's our children, but there's also the spiritual fruit, which is the good deeds, the meaningful things that we're doing in our lives. That's our fruit. We all need to produce fruit, but we need to strive to do it in a way that you can accelerate. You can always strive to do it a little faster, a little bit more, not to accept this terrible burden of physicality, of materialism, that things things take so much time. And by focusing on that and by striving towards that, you can connect, you can tap into the miraculous. This is what the Rebbe taught us. And he demonstrated this all the time. He was able to do more in a day than most people. He was able to do more in a week and in a month. And over the 40 years of being the Rebbe, he was able to achieve unbelievable. Why? Because he was always on his toes, on his feet, trying to do more and to accelerate. And he encouraged everyone, while very much listening to them and respecting the fact that things take time. He always pushed them to go beyond what they're used to and beyond what they believe they can achieve and how long it would take them to achieve it. And the more you impress this upon your mind, the more you can actually achieve this. And he connected this is how we'll finish, he connected this to what we say the Shema every day. We say, V'ahavte Hashem Elokecha, love the Lord your God, b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nefshecha, with all of your heart, with all of your soul. And then the third element is u'v'chol me'odecha, with all of your might. And I heard someone once translated this with all of your all. And the word me'odecha, me'od means much or muchness. And it's made up of the same letters as the word Adam. The true essence of Adam is to transcend only serving God with all of his heart and with all of his soul, which is still within nature. Once you go from that to me'odecha, that's transcending nature. It's going beyond what you think is possible, what you think you can achieve. You're not breaking the vessel, but you're stretching the vessel. That's the main point we need to get out of this class. We don't want to break the vessel. Neither do we want to say, well, this is the vessel, this is the way it is, what can we do? No, you want to keep stretching the vessel. And the more you stretch the vessel, the more you're able to tap into the miraculous and things can start flowing and rushing in a pace that you didn't dream was possible. So may we all achieve this balance in our lives, that we're able to respect the natural process of things and yet not surrender to the laws of nature and transcend the laws of nature by pushing the boundary, pushing the envelope, stretching the vessels. And the more we do so, the more the miraculous, with its unlimited potential and unlimited speed, can trickle down, filter into this world, and we'll be able to achieve light speed. This video was made possible through the kind support of my sponsors over at Patreon. Patreon is a great way to help independent creators like myself produce original content. If you'd like to get more English language videos from me, please consider becoming a supporter via Patreon. You can find the link in the description below. Thank you very much.